What's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to be doing a follow-up to my last video, which was posted something like 8 months ago. This video isn't so much to explain or convince you to why a joystick keyboard is so much better than any other gaming peripheral currently on the market. If you want that video and my in-depth thoughts on why joystick keyboards are so much better than traditional keyboards or a standard controller, watch my last video. This video is for those people that are more interested in watching me take an old, outdated piece of tech, aka a cheap Chinese PS3 controller that cost me about $5 from AliExpress, and turning that controller into a badass joystick keypad that can be easily replicated by you at home. So quickly, let me do a recap on why I'm so obsessed with joystick keyboards and why I truly think it's the next logical step in gaming peripherals. So let me quickly prove my point. I play Fortnite. A lot of Fortnite. I know, it's pretty fucking embarrassing. I started playing Fortnite all the way back in 2017. I was a hardcore controller player. I had a Scuff Pro controller and everything. And controller was the only thing I've ever used since I grew up being a console player. The most actively I was playing using a controller was back at the beginning of 2020, which was Chapter 2, Season 1 in Fortnite. During this season, I played a total of 335 matches, won only 15 times for a win ratio of 4.4%. This was extremely frustrating. I knew I was a better player than this, but for the first time in my gaming life, I felt like I was actually being held back by using a controller. Fast forward to the middle of 2022, more specifically Chapter 3, Season 3. This is the season I used the joystick keyboard from my last video for the entire season. During this season, I played a total of 372 matches, won 36 times for a win ratio of 9.7%. I more than doubled my overall win ratio, which in a battle royale, I guess that's really all that matters. And surprise, surprise, I was in fact being held back by playing on controller and only reached my full potential when switching to the joystick keyboard. I kinda have a boner. But one big thing I didn't just mention was that before I made the switch from a controller to the joystick keyboard, I first tried what most people do when wanting to elevate their competitive gameplay. They switch from controller to traditional keyboard and mouse. I don't know if it's because I spent 20 plus years of my life only using a controller, but I found it literally impossible to get the hang of using a keyboard. And there's no way I'm the only one that feels this way or has been going through this struggle. Using WASD for movement and moving my hand and finger in all these unnatural positions to reach all the keys required for in-game actions felt almost impossible to me. But on the other hand, I absolutely fell in love with how much more accuracy a mouse provided over the controller's analog stick. But even with that massive added benefit of mouse aim, I gave up. And I switched back to my good old reliable controller, which I'm sure many of you have done this exact same thing. Not all hope was lost though. During this transition period is when I discovered something amazing. I was adjusting my controller sensitivity for probably the 1,000,000th time, trying to figure out the perfect controller setting to magically make me a better player. Although, honestly, it never did. But this time I noticed something in the settings. An option that allowed you to use a controller alongside with a mouse. What even is this option? So I could use a controller for movement and a mouse for aiming? Quickly, I realized how amazing this was. But also, just as quickly, realized how big of a letdown it was. Holding a controller with only one hand allowed me to use the analog stick for movement, but it only gave me access to like 5 buttons. This was nowhere near enough buttons to control a game like Fortnite. And holding a controller one hand, leaning on the desk, or placed in your lap was quite uncomfortable. And that one simple setting, in a child's game, is how we ended up here today. A keypad that puts all the keys you could ever need in easily accessible positions alongside an analog stick. Someone with zero keyboard and mouse experience could pick this keypad up and get used to it almost immediately. Really, this keypad is like a controller and a keyboard did the dirty and had one hell of a Chad baby. So getting into the electronic side of this project, throughout the years of building custom gaming peripherals, we have worked on and customized many different controller boards, ranging from all Xbox controllers, the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, and all PlayStation controllers. As this keypad is being used with the PC and planned to be used over a wired USB cable, I wanted to use the most basic, inexpensive controller that has all the same amount of inputs as a current gen controller. If you think about it, controllers have virtually stayed the same for the last 20 to 25 years. Buttons, analog sticks, and triggers. But we were lucky this generation. Sony added some vibrators to the triggers. This is how we landed on the PS3 controller and the PS3 controller board. It has a total of 17 different inputs/buttons, and obviously traditional analog sticks. More importantly, we chose the PS3 controller as it has one of the smallest PCBs, which is the controller's main board, out of any of the mainstream controllers on the market. Plus, it had that detachable USB cable functionality that we were looking for. We could have gone with something like an Arduino board or a Teensy board, which are microcontrollers specifically designed for electronic projects just like this, but they require some level of advanced coding. By using a mainstream controller like the PS3 controller, it makes the keypad truly plug and play with basically no programming required. And with the addition of all those amazing remapping softwares on the market, specifically, we used WASD, we can make this controller easily work with any PC game on the market. So with all that being said, I'm going to leave all the STL files in the PS3 controller wiring diagram down in the description below. So if you got a 3D printer and a soldering iron, you can easily build this for under $20. I'll also leave all the parts I used linked in the description. They can easily be bought on places like AliExpress for super cheap. Obviously, I would love to give one away to you guys, so if you're interested, like the video and leave a comment down below. I have a few more ideas I'd love to implement in this keypad, so if you're interested in this project, again, subscribe. I'll be posting updates shortly. See you next time.